Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Canellis at Fox 32 in Chicago. Let's bring up the crew. Joining me this week on First and North, the voice of the Lions from Fox in Detroit. There he is, Dan Miller. From Fox Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. And from Fox Minneapolis, we love him, Ahmad Hicks. All right, let's get right into it. And I'm going to start with you, Ahmad. Vikings made a flurry of trades to build up draft capital to hopefully make a deal with the Panthers for wide receiver Adam Thielen. Is it going to get done?
It just seems like the Carolina Panthers asking price is a little too high. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's going to be your number 2 or 3 wide receiver in Carolina. He's going to come here and be the number 3 or 4 wide receiver once Jordan Addison and Jalen Nailor return. I just can't see the Vikings and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah being willing to give up anything less than a 6th-round pick for Adam Thielen, seeing how they only need him essentially for 4 weeks here.
All right, let's talk about Jordan Addison, suspended for 3 games. Jalen Nailor dealing with the injury you referenced. Do the Vikes have enough depth at wide receiver, even if they get Thielen, or should they be kicking the tires on a guy like Odell Beckham Jr.?
I don't know if they want an Odell Beckham Jr., but they certainly need help at the wide receiver position, and I mean bad. Like, Justin Jefferson is going to be double covered by every single NFL team that they face this year, and with Jordan Addison out 3 games, you're talking about your most experienced wide receiver is Jalen Nailor. Behind him, Lucky Jackson, Thayer Thomas, all guys who have not done anything yet in the NFL, and I know sometimes guys just need an opportunity to go out there and showcase their talents, but this is not the time to let these guys go out there and just hope that they can do this with a young, inexperienced quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. So I certainly think they need to go out there and go get some help. Maybe a Tyler Boyd, someone who was a former number 3 wide receiver in Cincinnati who can do play outside and inside, but they need help, wide receiver and defensive back.
All right, I want to bring in Dan Miller now. Dan Campbell addressed the media, Dan, and he said this about his roster. Listen in.
This is the best we felt about it, kind of top to bottom. And now, that being said, there's still holes. But I bring this up all the time. Every roster has holes. And you'll never have it exactly where you totally want it, but from where we've come year after year, we've taken it another level, and that's a credit to Brad. You know, what Brad's done in the personnel department is outstanding.
All right, that was before some of the roster moves they made, including quarterback Hendon Hooker's time in Detroit, which is now over. Dan, did Kyle Allen beat out Hooker for the job, or did Hooker lose the job on his own?
It was a one-sided fight. I mean, you can look at it either way you want, half empty, half full. Look, Kyle Allen bounced back from a rough appearance in the Hall of Fame game and played extremely well for the next 3 preseason games and won the job. But Hendon Hooker didn't put up much of a fight. He did some things well in practice, but he just struggled in the games and was a turnover machine. And the quickest way to lose a job in the NFL is not to have ball security, and Hendon Hooker didn't have that. So you kind of got an inkling this was coming when Dan Campbell spoke after the final preseason game this past Saturday. He said when you get in these situations, number one, you got to ask yourself, is there more development there with the young player? Or number 2, do they kind of need a change of scenery? And it looks like they believe that Hendon Hooker needs a change of scenery. I don't know where he ends up. I don't know if he ends up back here on a practice squad. But this was not the camp that he was looking for, and not the camp that the team was looking for out of him. And again, that backup quarterback battle was one-sided, Kyle Allen all the way.
All right, don't go far from this conversation, because I want to bring you back, Dan, about something. But let me bring in Lily, because you raised a good point, Dan. Hey, Lily, any talk in Green Bay of the Packers bringing in Hooker?
Not that I've heard of thus far. I mean, they like their quarterback stable. Of course, Malik Willis will be the backup of Jordan Love. They did release both Taylor Elgersma from, he was in the CFL, and also Sean Clifford, who's been with the team for quite some time. But I think they expect one of those guys to clear waivers and be back on the practice squad. I think they like the 2 that they did release. So I'm not sure if he'd fit in with Green Bay, but we shall see. Again, the Packers do want to bring the best guy in to kind of be that 3rd quarterback behind Jordan and Malik. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I thought there might be an immediate benefit for the Packers picking up a guy like Hooker, because he'd be able to share a little info about the Lions offense before the 2 teams meet in the opener. And then there's a long-term benefit, and that is Matt LaFleur's impact on Hooker really may help turn around this kid's career, and he could be a solid number 3 behind Jordan Love and Malik Willis. I want to talk about Love, Lily. He does not seem concerned about missing week 1. Take a listen.
I think just because because the hand it's on, being on my left hand, is the reason I'm able to get back. I think if it was my right hand, it'd be a totally different story. No, it feels fine. It's one of those things that we're trying to avoid, any like contact to it right now. So a little limited in what I can actually do, but I'm still able to get, 7-on-7 reps and do one-on-ones with the receivers. So still staying active and doing things and just trying to avoid any contact to that, let it heal.
Week 1. Close to 100%.
We'll be good. Yeah,
we're totally good.
Yeah, we're rolling week 1 for
we
sure.
love to hear it.
All right, be honest with me, Lily. I know you get to training camp along with the team over there at the station, Fox Milwaukee. How does Jordan Love look after the thumb surgery, and are you buying what he's saying? He'll be ready for the Lions.
Yeah, you have to hope so. I think that's the messaging he's been giving out to literally everybody asking him, that he's, he feels good. He feels like he will be at 100% or close to that when the season opener does begin. But listen, Matt LaFleur hates 7-on-7 work, but that's what the Packers had to do to get Jordan Love involved in any sort of game action per se. So they wanted to get him out there on 7-on-7, and he did as much as he could. So I think everyone was breathing a sigh of relief that it was on his non-throwing hand, that thumb injury, not his throwing hand, obviously. But I think the fact that they got the surgery out of the way as early as they did, he's gotten reps in, he's done a lot of handoff work, he's still practicing. I think it's a good sign that he should be ready to roll in week 1. And we'll see, of course, if the game plan does change for Matt LaFleur, in terms of what he wants Jordan Love to do, just to be more cautious not to re-injure that thumb. But from all indications in Green Bay, I think Jordan Love says he's ready to go, and I think we have to believe him.
All right, Packers did release...
Hey, Lou, let me jump in there because I'm not a doctor, but if it were me, I would sit him for week 1. I just feel like you need to give him more time. It's a long season. And just let him rest up a little bit. I think that's the best route to take. I'm just saying.
I couldn't agree more with you, Dan Miller. I couldn't agree more. Lily, the team did release veteran wide receiver McCole Hardman. Did that surprise you?
I don't think so. I think he really was one of those guys firmly on the bubble for quite some time. I don't think he really flashed as much as he wanted to during camp and the preseason. And I think the opportunities he had in their preseason opener, he had a muffed punt. He, kind of got stopped at the 5-yard line as a returner and then dropped a pass. So I think just got off on not the best foot as, that he would want. And I don't think he would have, he had what it would take to be on the 53-man roster to beat out another receiver. Malik Heath, another guy who was an undrafted guy, has now made the roster 3 straight years. So I think, he took what probably would have been McCole Hardman's spot, but I don't think he showed really what the Packers needed him to do to be on that final 53. So, a veteran receiver, but just didn't have a fit in Green Bay.
Dan, let me bring you back because I look at what Isaac Tesler has done during training camp in the preseason. Man, this guy had as good a training camp as anyone, didn't he?
Well, I think you could even go back to the offseason workouts. From the moment that he walked in the door, he just looked comfortable. And believe me, there was a lot of eyes on him because of the fact that they gave up a lot of capital to get him. They gave up essentially 3 third-round picks to get him as a third-round pick. And Brad Holmes didn't make it any easier on him when he said, not only did I want to trade up to get him, he was my favorite receiver in the draft. Not favorite receiver available in the 3rd round, favorite receiver in the draft. And he's been terrific. And he brings a lot of the attributes that you look for in a wide receiver. He's big, he's got some speed, he's got great hands, and all of those things have been on display in the preseason. Scored a touchdown in each of the last 3 games. So I think Isaac Tesler has a lot of fans excited in Detroit about what he can be. Now the question is, what kind of role could you fit for him as a rookie? Because you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have J-Mo, you've got Tim Patrick, you got Khalif Raymond. All those guys are loved by this coaching staff. So how quickly can he press for time? I think that's the question right now.
All right, he even broke out the worm after a touchdown against the Texans. Love that.
Better him than me.
Yeah. I need to ask you selfishly, for the Bears fans here in town, why did the Lions release offensive lineman Dan Skipper?
He had struggled a bit in camp, and I think it came down to Jamarco Jones and him assuming that they don't make another move, which is always possible, to bring in another tackle at some point. I don't know if Skipper's a guy that will come back on the roster, and this is just some gymnastics they're doing to get other guys through, and maybe he ends up back here. He's a veteran. He can't be claimed by anybody, but he can go wherever he wants at this point. So I would say, number 1, he struggled a bit. Number 2, I think they look at Jones and just prefer him right now. But I was probably one of the ones that got my attention and surprised me a little bit, just because he had been such a staple here as kind of that 6th offensive lineman, the guy you bring in your jumbo package, and he had been the swing tackle that they'd used when somebody was hurt. So that was probably an eye catcher. We'll see where it goes from here. If he ends up back here or he ends up somewhere else.
All right, Bears may have interest in skipper, Dan. I'll be honest with you. 8-year veteran, played for Ben Johnson. Earlier today, Johnson was asked about his starting left tackle, and the Bears have had issues at left tackle so far in training camp in the preseason. And Johnson said, quote, while most signs point to it being Braxton Jones, I still don't think we can completely rule out that the starter isn't in the building yet. Interesting. Now, Jones started last week during camp and Friday night against the Chiefs, but Johnson admitted this starting left tackle spot, it may be something that they continue to work through all the way till the bye week in Week 5. Jones has 40 NFL starts. He has not been solid in pass protection coming off his broken ankle. The rookie Ozzie Trapillo, better at right tackle. Theo Benedict spent last season on the practice squad, given a chance at left tackle, didn't win the job. And from Jones and third-round pick Karan Amagaji, he's just not ready. Skipper could help. Bears could also use, and I'm going to throw this out there, Joe Thuney there, and start rookie Luke Newman at left guard. Thuney played left tackle last year for the Chiefs. Newman started the Buffalo and Kansas City preseason games at left guard. Another story I want to get into regarding the Bears centers around backup quarterback Tyson Bagent, who received a 2-year, $10 million contract extension.
A lot of people don't know this, but, my dad is he's my right-hand man, and he didn't even have running water until he was in high school. So there's definitely a lot of things and people that I think I could certainly help with this gift I've been blessed with. But yeah, just little things like that. Like, I don't really know anybody back at home with any money, so yeah, it feels good. I mean, it's certainly a weight off my shoulders and my family's shoulders, and yeah, it definitely means a lot.
Great appreciation. By the way, with incentives, he could earn another $6 million. Guys, General Manager Ryan Poles and most importantly, Ben Johnson and his staff, they love Tyson Bagent. They talk openly about how lucky they are to have him. I'm a big supporter of Caleb Williams. You can go back into the archives for this show. I wanted the Bears to draft Caleb Williams, and I bragged about what Williams did last season despite losing his offensive coordinator, his head coach, and being sacked 68 times. Having said all that, what I have learned since he's been in town since January is Ben Johnson, number one, did not draft Caleb, and he wasn't part of the Bears franchise when they selected Caleb Williams, and he runs a structured offense and demands perfection. And if he does not get the perfection that he is looking for, that he demands, guess what? Players don't play. Bagent does not have the talent nor the arm strength that Williams has, but he has everything else. He's got the moxie. He runs the huddle efficiently, makes accurate passes, processes quickly, and always is trying to get better out there. I've been told that no one has studied, no one came more prepared in the training camp than Tyson Bagent. 3 touchdown passes, including the game winner last Friday against the Chiefs. That didn't hurt his case either. I'm not here to stir the pot, but in my opinion, Ben Johnson is going to put in the quarterback who he feels gives this team the best chance, whether it's Bagent or Williams. Ahmad, let me bring you back before we close out the segment. Help me understand why the Vikings feel more comfortable with Carson Wentz backing up J.J. McCarthy instead of Sam Howell.
I think Sam Howell just played absolutely horrendous during training camp. I mean, he was one of those guys that was just up and down like a roller coaster. And Kevin O'Connell said it best. He tried to cover for him a little bit and said maybe he's just one of those quarterbacks that needs game reps and then you evaluate him in a game. But then he followed that up with a pretty bad, joint practice versus the New England Patriots. So they weren't comfortable throwing him in the spotlight, if J.J. McCarthy were to go down. So I think they love what they saw in this rookie undrafted quarterback in Max Brosmer from the University of Minnesota. Only played there one season, came over from New Hampshire. So I think they love him and what he can bring to the table. And I think they just wanted a veteran that could step in and possibly win them 2 to 3 games if need be. And I think Carson Wentz is their guy for that over Sam Howell.
All right. We need to take a timeout when we come back here on First and North. How about the Lions Super Bowl window? Is it closing? One analyst thinks so. I'm going to ask Dan what he has to say about what this analyst feels coming up next on First and North.
Major League Baseball on Fox. what I'm doing. Hey, getting right to it. The money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do it.
Oh my goodness!
Major League Baseball all season long on Fox.
Welcome back to First and North. Lou Canellis with you. Dan Miller, also Lily Zhao, Ahmad Hicks from Minneapolis joining me here on the show. Two Lions players cracked the NFL top 100. I'm going to start with Penei Sewell. He was ranked number 22, and Dan Campbell said there are no limitations when it comes to Sewell. Dan Miller, give me a Sewell story that I have not read nor heard yet.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Penei is just his incredible athleticism and what he can do. They've thrown passes to him. They've thrown pitches to him. He's just limitless when it comes to what he can do and what you can do with him. And look, there was some talk when he was drafted that he would start at right tackle and then ultimately move to left tackle. I don't know if he's ever going to move because they love the fact that he is one of, if not the best right tackle in the league. So, look, you see Penei every week as the guy that fires this team up. He's in the middle of the huddle on the field. He is the loudest on the team. He is the most fiery on the team. He is the force multiplier on the team. He's the guy that they follow in that locker room. And he's the guy that on game day gets them ready to go as a player. Dan Campbell sets the tone as a coach. But you can't replace what Penei Sewell does in any way, shape, or form, on the field or off.
Yeah, Penei Sewell is a guy that everyone on this panel would love to have in a Bears, Vikings, or Packers uniform. I know all eyes are on week 1. I can't wait for week 2. Can't wait for week 2. Bears and Lions, speaking of those trick plays with Sewell that you mentioned and how athletic he is. How about Ben Johnson? He was asked if he had something already up his sleeve. Is he cooking up something to use against his former team?
Do you have one that we haven't seen yet that you've got saved away for week 2 against your old team?
Maybe, but the play that I love, the play that I loved last year was the laterals that we were doing. We did it 4 or 5 times, and they were all big plays. And then Buffalo comes in and practices against us, and in practice they did it and they scored a touchdown on us. I'm like, that's our darn play.
Dan Miller, I'll tell you what, I love this guy's transparency. He is almost honest to a fault, and I'm sure he's got. Well, go ahead.
I think he learned from Dan Campbell, who you ask him a question, he's going to give you an honest answer. And I think Ben Johnson's going to give you an honest answer, whether you like it or not. But here's what I'll say, Lou. The secret sauce to what he did with the Lions with those trick plays was their ability to handle the football. Now, often it was Amon-Ra in the middle of that thing, and he's a magician with the ball. So beware, Chicago. The trick plays are fun, but there's also a trap door waiting for you, and it's easy to turn the ball over. So just be careful.
All right,
That's all I'm saying.
right. I appreciate the caution sign that you've thrown our way. I want to go back to the NFL Top 100 list. You brought up Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's there at number 20. Man, his contract is looking better and better after all these deals are coming in, right?
Well, listen, it pays to sign guys as early as you possibly can. There was never a question that Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to get an extension and that he was going to be one of the highest paid players in the league. But what happens is you reset the market, and then somebody behind you drafts off your contract, they reset the market, and then it just keeps going. So the earlier that you can sign somebody, the better off you're going to be, because it's just going to keep going up, because agents don't want to slot in behind the guy that's getting paid the big bucks. They want to put their guys above it because that's how they advertise their services, and rightfully so.
Hey, Lily, I don't know if you saw Fox Sports, but they released an article on Super Bowl tiers around the NFL. And somehow your Packers have snuck in on tier 1. Are they that close to winning the Super Bowl?
Why not? I mean, you never say never, right? I think, the the hope is to bring another Lombardi Trophy back to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, and I say, why not? I mean, this is a team that, a couple of years ago, I think they kind of not shot themselves in the foot, they probably would have been on that trajectory, and last year wasn't the season they wanted to have, but I think this year there's confidence that, they're going to compete in the division, they're going to compete beyond that, so I don't see why the Packers wouldn't be in that, discussion, but of course I think it all starts with Jordan Love. I know he's dealing with that left thumb right now, but if he plays the way he can play, he can certainly lead this team to some really good heights here this season.
You're right, as much as I hate to admit it. Ahmad, Vikings are seen as up-and-comers, a lot riding on the shoulder, the arm of J.J. McCarthy. Realistically, what do you expect from the Vikes this season?
I expect for the first 8 weeks of the season that the defense will carry the Vikings. I think Jonathan Grenard is a name that's not being talked about enough. He was one of the elite edge rushers last year in the National Football League, and I think he's going to take an even bigger step this season and really become a household name. So I think the defense will be the storyline for the first 8 weeks, and then I think that's when the offense and J.J. McCarthy will start to pick up steam. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. He has not practiced, J.J. McCarthy that is, with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hockenson, and Jalen Naylor for more than 1 week at training camp. Justin Jefferson got hurt the second day. Jalen Naylor got dinged up like the second or third week, and Jordan Addison is going to miss the first couple of games. So, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding, I believe, for this offense, and that's why I think it's going to be a dogfight in that week 1 matchup versus Ben Johnson and the Bears.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially when talking about the Bears, too, because they're tabbed as a potential Cinderella, according to Fox Sports, and I've said on this show before, I think it's going to be a slow start for the Bears in the offense. Ben Johnson has even pulled back on some of the early hype. Let me bring back Dan Miller. Hey, Dan, Lions are seen as Super Bowl contenders once again, but before I get to you, I want you to take a listen to what Jason McIntyre from The Herd, Colin Cowherd and The Herd, had to say about the Lions Super Bowl window. Listen in.
I like that medium look from Dan Campbell. That's a money look, Dan. Listen, he's talking a big game, but folks, some bad news. I think the Super Bowl window's closed. The Detroit Lions have the toughest road schedule in the NFL. On the road, these are the quarterbacks they have to face this season. Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield. That's before Halloween. They got to go to Jalen Hurts. They got to go to Matt Stafford. Guys, that is absolutely brutal. When you look at the defense, guys, the depth chart for that defense is, what's going on? You remember the movie Major League? Where they would be like, every season is like, who the bleep are these guys? Look at that Lions defense, and you're like, jeez, we're cooked.
Dan, is the Lions Super Bowl window closed?
Okay, hang on a second. Number one, he's not alone in thinking that this team could struggle to take a step back this year because of the coordinators and because of the changes on the offensive line, and Lee McNeil's not there. But does he know anything about football? That depth chart? That depth chart has Aiden Hutchinson, who's one of the best players in the NFL. That depth chart has DJ Reader, who's one of the better interior guys in the league. That depth chart has probably the 2 best safeties that play together, the best tandem in the league. I think they feel like their secondary is going to be a strength. Jack Campbell's an ascending player. Alex Anzalone has been very good for this football team. Derek Barnes coming back off an injury. I'm not sure how you look at that defensive depth chart and call it the bad news Bears. The sad thing is people say things because they want to get reactions, and now we're giving them exactly what they wanted to do. We're reacting to it. But where you really lose me is at the top of that when you start talking about Dan Campbell's T-shirt. What are we doing here? Mean Girls for Boys? I mean, is that really what it comes down to? Newsflash, Dan Campbell's 6'5", 250 pounds. He's jacked. Sometimes his T-shirts fit kind of tight. But, I mean, I would take a second look at that depth chart on the defense. They may have some holes, which you heard Dan Campbell say earlier in the show. But if you don't see the talent on that defense, I don't know how much football you've been watching.
Yeah, and I'm not sure he'd say that to Dan Campbell's face. So you bring up a good point.
What are we doing? I mean, sometimes when you listen to people's words, you learn more about them than the person they're talking about.
We need to take our final timeout. Love it, Dan. We have some major breaking news out of the NFL that broke the internet today. Find out what it is right after this on First and North.
This is the future of golf. It all starts here. Live Golf on Fox.
This is going to be hot. It'll be a party. Long live golf.
Let's go!
Welcome back to First and North. Breaking news today. Yep, hundreds of NFL transactions, but the biggest one, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, getting engaged. Dan Miller, I heard that Lily got the save the date. Dan, Lou, Ahmad, we are all cut out. What is that all about?
Lily, take pictures, please.
I got you guys. I think I'm in the wedding party too, so I'll let you know how it goes.
Have fun
Hey,
with
good
it.
for them. You know what? Good for them. Anybody thought this would last? And look at them. They're getting married. I think it's a cool thing. Good for
And
them.
I agree with you. And he says he's recommitted. He lost 25 pounds in the offseason, and he's ready to have a big year, maybe his last at the age of 35. Guys, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. For Dan, Lily, Ahmad, I'm Lou Canellis. Thanks for watching.